What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about one of A24's newest movies that came out a little while ago that I didn't see initially in theaters. I watched a couple of other things around the time that this came out, and this film was met with some pretty glaringly negative reviews when it was released, which is why I didn't rush to go see it. I was like, I'll probably just wait till this is available on VOD to check out at home. But I did want to watch it eventually because number one, it has John Malkovich in it, who I've really enjoyed throughout his entire career. Seemed to be playing a very strange, unique role, which was exciting. And then I am a huge fan of Ayo Edebiri since I watched her in the first season of The Bear. I've appreciated everything that she's done throughout her career, even in movies that I haven't enjoyed as much. I feel like she always brings a lot to the table. Didn't know much about this other than the one little teaser trailer I saw when this was first announced. And the movie I'm going to be telling you about today is Opus. Opus is directed by Mark Anthony Green. A young writer is invited to the remote compound of a legendary pop star who mysteriously disappeared 30 years ago. Surrounded by the star's cult of sycophants and intoxicated journalists, she finds herself in the middle of his twisted plan. So, like I said, I was looking forward to watching this because I'm a big fan of John Malkovich and Ayo Edebiri, and I was hoping that this would be something that I really enjoyed, and unfortunately it was not. This movie is really bad, and it's uninspired, and has one of the weakest scripts of anything that I've watched this year so far. It's one of those movies that is incredibly frustrating because it comes at its subject matter like it's incredibly intellectual and that it's like breaking down all of these interesting ideas about the relationships between artists and journalists and the way that society perceives artists and all of these things. And it doesn't say anything interesting about any of that. I don't feel like the movie goes deep enough into any of its subject matter to be interesting. It just feels like another movie where it's like, oh, people show up. It's a cult. Oh no, is the cult going to be evil? Probably. And that's it. I mean, there's really nothing. There's no mystery in this movie. It's not super engaging. I felt like the dialogue was relatively lame. And I'll break it down when I tell you about the movie today. So, the beginning of the film, we are introduced to Ariel, played by Ayo Edebiri, who is a journalist that she feels incredibly underappreciated in her job, and she's constantly trying to push herself forward, and she wants to be a star at her job. She wants to be good at what she does, and she wants to be recognized for the work that she does. And there's a huge pop star by the name of Alfred Moretti, who was super popular throughout the 80s and has had an enormous hiatus, and no one has heard from him for a while. That character is played by John Malkovich, and his assistant makes an enormous announcement saying that he is going to come back with a brand new album, and that before it is released, he wants to invite a group of journalists to where he is staying to hear the album before anyone else. And to her surprise, Ariel has been invited along with her boss at the place that she works. And so the two of them get on board a plane and they go into the middle of nowhere to meet Moretti and to hear about his new record. And obviously they get there. He is a very strange, kind of awkward individual who knows how to command a room. And of course, he lives on this property with a bunch of people that Ariel sees very early on that they appear to be in a cult. They all wear the exact same outfits. They have these very strange rituals, including one where they all have to take a bite off a singular loaf of bread at the beginning of dinner. One of the more uncomfortable moments in the movie. And Ariel quickly starts picking up on not everything is as it seems. They're all assigned a person that has to kind of follow them around while they're there. They're listening to essentially one track and then they have to go do their own thing for a while. And it just is a very weird experience. And the entirety of the film is Ariel trying to figure out what is Moretti's grand plan with all of this. Is he just trying to get journalists to review his album, or is there something much more dark and sinister going on underneath the surface? So, like I said, this movie is really bad, and it's very lazy when it comes to the screenwriting, and it's incredibly predictable. And it's funny because there are a ton of movies that have come out recently that I feel like, this I saw in Letterboxd reviews that this is getting compared to. And I'm not someone who gets frustrated when people make movies that are in a similar vein, like that are tackling subject matter that's along the same lines, because I think people can tackle subject matter along the same lines in a different enough way to make it interesting. But unfortunately, this is doing none of that. I will talk about some positives. Ayo Edebiri and John Malkovich really are the stars of this movie. They're both incredible in the scenes that they are in. John Malkovich is just, he plays weird and strange really well, and I feel like he commands the scene, especially in the moments where he is performing the musical numbers in this. I just really liked the personality that he brought to the table, and I don't think this would have been nearly as watchable if it wasn't for him. Ayo Edebiri just has a ton of charisma, and that's what I like about her as an actress. I feel like no matter what she's in, she brings a lot to the table. She has a very commanding personality, and I say that in the best way possible. And I really liked her in this a lot. There were a couple of moments that I just felt like she did a really fantastic job. And there's a great cast in this of all different actors and actresses, that some that you've seen before, some that you haven't. And I think like the cast works well together. I think there's not really a bad actor in the bunch. I also appreciated the visual style in this. It's not like remarkable by any means, but there's a couple of really cool moments in the cinematography, especially when they're listening to one of the songs early on in this one particular room. I really appreciated the attention to detail and the color. I really liked that it brought the movie a little bit more personality, especially when there's a number of moments in this that just feel very dull. So I appreciated that a lot as well. But that's about all the positives I have with this movie. My biggest issue with this, like I said early on, is it's very predictable. Do you think that the cult that is going to be there is going to turn out to be good? Probably not, because 9 times out of 10, when A24 slaps their production label on a movie, the cult is evil, and there's not enough mystery or intrigue in each and every scene for you to question the entire time whether or not they are bad. I mean, you pretty much know they're awful from the gate. Like it doesn't take a whole lot of time to sort of decipher that they're doing something suspicious. And so that really kind of disengaged my interest really early on, when it's like, okay, the whole mystery of the movie isn't really a mystery. I also thought a lot of the dialogue in this was very on the nose and incredibly miserable. I did not enjoy a lot of just the meandering dialogue with the journalists, and I feel like anytime Ayo Edebiri's character was talking to one of the cult members, they could have made that a lot more interesting. And it's just not. It's just really flat and bland and boring. And I thought it would be interesting if it took a route of like how they're manipulating these people to be in this cult, and you get a little bit of it from the guy who they first meet when they arrive there, but it's not interesting enough to matter. And like I said early on in the review, the film's trying to be this very deep commentary on the relationship between artists and journalists, and how journalists paint artists in the media, not caring about their struggles and their actual lives, but just utilizing their pain and their suffering to their advantage to promote their magazine or whoever they work for, and like how artists perceive that. And sure, that's a reality of the industry. We see it on a day-to-day basis. Like when you become famous, it's not an easy life. People will use every bit and piece of detail about your personal life against you to make your life more difficult. And I think there's something interesting that can be said about that, but not here. There's nothing. Like, you get to about the last 20 minutes of the movie where it's revealed why John Malkovich's character is doing all of this, and then at the end there's like another like, oh, here's the other twist, and it's just not interesting. I'm sorry. Like, it's just, I was just like, okay, this is the most cookie cutter formulaic way that you could reveal the information, and then your sort of other reveal of the movie, it's like, huh? Can you believe that this is what we're trying to say with the movie? And I just don't find it all that interesting. Like, there's so many directions you could take this, and as someone who loves music and it's such a big part of my life, tackling the music industry and the evils of the music industry is something that you could do in a really fascinating way, and this just doesn't do that at all. I just did not care about any of this. I felt like the humor was really flat. I felt like any time that it depicted violence, it was just doing it to get a reaction out of you, because the rest of the movie is so incredibly bland. And I would just say skip over this one. There's nothing here interesting enough to waste your time watching this for an hour and 40 minutes. So have you seen Opus? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was incredibly underwhelming and bland, and I will probably never watch it again. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.